Pick up your Doom figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Kaiju, turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and welcome to another perfectly ordinary Doom video here, where today we're taking a look at some offerings from Numskull, where, remember when you played through Doom Eternal and you picked up all of those fun collectible figurines as the Doom Slayer? Well, guess what? Now you don't have to be a turbo nerd in Doom Eternal, you can be it in real life. Numskull is taking a crack at recreating those vinyl figures from Doom Eternal in real life. And I have to say, once I picked up that first one from the Hell Barge, in the first level, cracking open some skulls of some zombies, I knew that these had to be made. Now, to be fair, there were the small mini resin ones directly through Bethesda, but yeah, these, I'm glad I held out for these. Now, for the first launch, we have the Doom Slayer, we have the Imp Arachnotron, and the one that I think is probably going to sell out everywhere, the Cacodemon. Why? Because it's the Cacodemon, enough said. So, I've been speaking for a little bit now. Let's cut the chit-chat and take a look to see whether or not these are worth adding to your collection. And if you've been thinking about it, I think this will be the definitive review to help you out. If this is the first time you're checking out my channel, go ahead, click on subscribe, because I'll be taking a look at all of these, and the Figma Doom Slayer and the Nendoroid Doom Slayer once that does ship to me. I'm basically going to be covering all the Doom merchandise I can get my hands on that fits for what I like to collect. And longtime fans of the channel will be looking at the 360 spin views that I have here. You're probably scratching your head asking why I'm doing it this way. Well, in sort of storyboarding this review out, if you will, this was the only way that I could really get this done in a reasonable time frame. So this way you can get a nice 360 spin view of all four of these guys. So yeah, I think this works just fine enough. And don't worry, you're going to see a nice up close spin view of them towards the end of this video. Now we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at everyone. We'll go ahead and start with the Doom Slayer, where you can see that generally speaking, the paint applications are rather nice. What I will say for all of them is that I was a little surprised getting these in hand. They have a matte finish to them, a bit more satin, if you will, where in the games, hint, hint, stay tuned until the end, they appear to be glossy in the games compared to what we have here in the real life. But what we have here in hand actually does look rather good. So for Doom Slayer, everything checks out. He's pretty great. And what I will say in terms of quality control, the only issue is going to be one random black spot on the back of his arm. So no real complaints there. Overall, Doom Slayer checks out. For the Arachnotron, I do think that this one is pretty rock solid. I will say that in some areas, the paint does appear to come off a bit more pastelish than one may like, but at the end of the day, the Arachnotron still looked great as well. There's no real paint issues here, so that is good to see, especially with this one being the largest one. I feel the most bang for your buck, and it's good to see that overall that is going to be the case. Couple issues with articulation, but that'll happen in the articulation section, not up here. Now, when we take a look at the Imp, we'll take a look at this a bit closer towards that section I'm alluding to. We do have these spikes on the torso of the Imp, more so towards the chest. They're upside down. What does that mean? Well, you'll see soon enough. But overall, for the Imp, we have a couple of small, tiny issues with paint masking, not necessarily being perfect, but that's okay. Generally speaking, I do think that for the $40 to $50 price point, however, that this could have been tightened up a bit. However, for the claws or the nails on the feet, that shading looks very, very good. Now for the Cacodemon, I do have to say that this is probably my favorite of this wave because it's the Cacodemon. It's probably the most iconic Doom enemy, whether you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or it's in pop culture. I mean, it's a floating meatball with an eye. Who doesn't love the Cacodemon? This one, unfortunately, I feel of this lot is rather the weakest. Why is that? Well, for the horns, they have, or spikes, I guess you may call them, they have different variances of paint shading. So one looks like it actually has that fading effect applied to it, so that way it's not one color where it's not necessarily executed as well on another. Mine, on the eyeball right out of the box, if I wasn't brave enough to try to take care of it, it actually had a nice black splotch, but I was able to gently take a sponge and get rid of it. So yes, it was a correctable issue, but someone who is not necessarily as knowledgeable, it's a complete wash, because the Cacodemon is known for his eye, and you also notice the eye is slightly tilted. This is very minor, but maybe it'll be bigger on another one. There's also on the right, I guess, mouth area, the upper part of the mouth, there is a little too much pink paint, which that's going to bug some folks. I know that sounds like nitpicking, but I'm just pointing out what may go wrong, so to speak, if you were to pick these up, and what you can expect once you get these in hand. I'm going to keep that small voice crack in here, so this way you know that I'm human. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the articulation, where we can see that Doomslayer has some pretty basic articulation. His head is going to swivel, his equipment launcher is going to be on a ball joint, so this way you can move that around, and then actually at the base on his shoulder, it kind of swivels around as well. He is going to have swivels at the shoulders, and unfortunately, it is a rather tight connection. The reason why I say it's tight is you can't recreate in the game when he sort of flips up the left arm, so this way, you know, they can do a hurrah with the Doom Blades. Yeah, you can't do that here, but that's okay. Hip swivel as well. When we take a look at the Imp, very similar articulation. The neck is going to swivel, the shoulders are going to swivel, and yeah, as you can see, that's where the rest of the swivels are going to be at. For the Arachnotron, we do have a swivel at that turret, so make that pink sound as you go ahead and blow it up. I don't know if you can pull it off. I wasn't really trying to do that, and the actual turret does swivel back and forth as well. I guess that might be a hinge. However, the actual swivel at the base is rather loose, and mine in the box was actually upside down. Easy fix though, easy fix. I'm sure that was just, quick, get it in the box, ship it out, error, not a big deal. Arachnotron is also going to have 4 ball joints where all of the legs plug in, so that's cool. Now, these are advertised as articulated figures. Cacodemon, it's the last one. It's a bowling ball, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Having the eye articulated, I think, would be pretty cool, especially if we could pop it out and add a little gore effect in there. Now we'll go ahead and move on over to a size comparison. And like I said, fans of the channel, I'm doing some different stuff here for this particular review, just because I kind of wanted to group them all together so you can get a good idea of sizing. So I have 2 in the bottom and 2 in the back. Let me know your thoughts. But I think this still gives you a good idea of how big each one of these are going to be, especially with the wide array of figures that I have here. Now, here is the section that I was really teasing about that I think everyone is really going to like. I tried my best here. It's not in sync, but here is a side-by-side comparison, spinning sort of back and forth as best as I could with the actual in-game models. This was captured directly off of the base PS4 that I have with Doom Eternal, captured through OBS, the best settings that I could get it at. So here you go. Again, it's not 1-for-1 because unfortunately you can't do a full 360 spin view of the toys in game, or if you can, I don't know how to do it, but I do plan on doing this for all of the releases moving forward. So if anyone knows how to improve on this, like how to actually get that 360 spin view for the models in game, it would be really appreciated. I have my email in the description. Please hit me up. But overall, you can see that there are minor differences, such as the paint shading and the different variations of paint application. Doomslayer has a couple of different paint apps, most particularly on the boots. They're different colors. But most particularly, when we get to the Cacodemon, you are going to notice that there are some shading effects that are missing on the actual figure, along with the spikiness of the fangs and the spikes on the actual meatball. Also of note, the Arachnotron, even though the actual figure looks nice, completely different from the in-game coloration, so I'm not quite sure what went on there. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Generally speaking, for the price point, 40 to 50 bucks, I do think that if you are not a die-hard Doom fan, then this is a really tough sell. The Arachnotron is really great to have because it can kind of be like a generic enemy. Think of, let's say, you're going to have Samus Aran from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. You have like Quadraxis or something. This is a nice stand-in. Or you have the Cacodemon, which, Metroid, I guess. Or you can just have a Cacodemon. Right? Who doesn't want a Cacodemon, right? Right. So if you're a fan of Doom Eternal and you were like me, day one at launch, you saw these in game and you're like, yeah, I got to have them. Congrats. This is going to be for you. If you're on the fence, I don't think that these can really be sold to you. They're very good. Don't get me wrong, but it is a pretty steep asking price. But then again, I don't know who wasn't a fan of Doom and saw these kind of on a website reporting on them and thought, yeah, that's really cool. And actually probably didn't know they got released. So yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of talking to myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and end the video. They're great. If you're a fan of Doom, definitely worth purchasing. Maybe picking the ones that you like, but hey, you know, it is what it is.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.